There are moments when the world around us just feels off. A misplaced shadow, a voice with no source, a road that leads somewhere it shouldn't. Most people dismiss these as tricks of the mind, the byproduct of exhaustion or imagination. But some know better. Some listen to the whispers. The whispers come from the spaces in between, from echoes of lost time, from doorways that were never meant to be opened. They are warnings, secrets, glimpses of the unknown, murmuring just beyond the veil of reality. Some speak of things that have already happened, others tell of what's still to come, and a few are invitations. Most people ignore them. They turn away, pretending not to hear. But you have chosen to listen. And once you do, there is no turning back. Welcome to Whispers from the Other Side. Episode 4. Ghosts Don't Leave Fingerprints. In the cold machinery of justice, fingerprints are the holy grail, conclusive, undeniable. But what happens when the perfect match is made? By someone who no longer walks among the living? Detective Ray Calder is about to learn that in some cases, justice is a loop, and the ghosts we bury don't always stay buried, especially when they're still pointing fingers. From the other side. Act 1. The Familiar Print. It was raining again. Not the kind that danced on windows, but the kind that soaked through your coat and made everything gray feel grayer. Detective Ray Calder leaned against the edge of the crime scene tape, his coat collar up, his cigarette half spent. 20 years on the force, and he could still smell guilt in the air. It had a static charge, like an old television left on in a dark room. "Single Vic," the rookie said, clipboard in hand. "Name's Philip Tressler, tech CEO. Shot twice, close range. Security system offline. Someone knew the codes." Calder moved into the penthouse. Sparse, clean, cold. The kind of place you could live in for years and never actually live in. "Prints?" Calder asked. "Yeah. All over the desk drawer, the safe, and the gun. But here's the weird part. They match a known felon." Calder raised an eyebrow. "Name's Carson Red." The cigarette froze mid-air. "That can't be," Calder muttered. The rookie tilted his head. "You know him?" "I did. Carson Red was a contract killer. I put him away 20 years ago. He was executed at Black Ridge Prison." "Executed, like dead?" "Yeah, dead." Ray's voice had an edge, now tight, haunted. "So you better run those prints again." They did. 3 times. Each time, it came back the same. Carson Red, deceased, 2005. Act 2. The Man Who Wasn't There. Calder stared at the prison records on his desk. Carson Red, age 44, executed by lethal injection. Final words. "Tell Calder I'm still not sorry." He remembered those words. He remembered everything, especially the way Carson looked at him during the trial. Not angry, not defiant, just amused. Ray had chalked it up to narcissism. But now, 2 decades later, Carson's prints were at a fresh crime scene. Ray paid a visit to Black Ridge Prison, now mostly decommissioned and rotting from the inside out. Only the administrative wing remained functional. The warden was new, young, eager to help. "We still have Carson's death file," he said, sliding over a thin manila folder. It was all there. Time of death. Witnesses. Cremation confirmation. "Wait," Ray said, flipping through the last page. "There's no photo of the body after death?" The warden shook his head. "That was just before they changed the protocols. Back then it wasn't required." Ray tapped his fingers on the file. "Who handled the cremation?" "Some private firm. Went out of business years ago. Ray's eyes narrowed. You ever heard of a body switch? The warden frowned. You think someone faked it? I think someone wanted us to think Carson Red was gone. But if he's alive, he wouldn't need to fake fingerprints. The room went quiet. Unless, Ray said, standing, he isn't alive. And somehow he still doesn't need to fake them. Act 3. The cold trail heats up. Ray drove through the city, his thoughts tangled. He'd put away dozens of killers. But Carson had been different. He never denied what he did, never apologized, never even blinked when confronted with photos of his victims. Ray had found 2 women in Carson's apartment. One was still alive. Barely. He remembered her name, Angela Marks. She'd vanished not long after the trial, changed her identity, disappeared into anonymity. Maybe fear. Maybe shame. Ray did some digging. It took calling in favors, hacking DMV records, and sifting through marriage certificates. But he found her. Angela was living under the name Sarah Blake in a quiet town 2 hours north. She answered the door with the eyes of someone who had learned not to answer the door. I'm not here to hurt you, Ray said, badge in hand. I just need to ask you about Carson. Her hands trembled slightly. Why now? There was a murder. Fingerprints matched his. He's dead. That's what I thought. Angela's mouth twitched. Then he lied. Ray paused. About what? He used to whisper things in the dark, she said. Said death wouldn't stop him. Said he'd find a way to keep hunting. He believed souls were just energy. That murder tied you to the world. Like a stain, Ray murmured. No, she said, like an anchor. Act 4. The Return. It was late. Ray sat in his apartment, the light from the city playing shadows on the wall. He stared at his old case files. One thing stuck out. Every person Carson had killed shared a connection. They were all jurors or witnesses from a different trial. Not Carson's, but his brother's. Ray had never been able to prove it, but the rumor was Carson's brother had died in prison because of a mishandled verdict. Carson had called it poetic justice. That night, a fax slid out from the old machine in the corner of Ray's home office. He hadn't used it in years. There was no number on the header, just a single sheet of paper. It was a photo, grainy, black and white, taken from the corner of the crime scene, the same one from the Tressler penthouse. Standing behind the dead body was a man, tall, bald, smirking. Ray's hand shook. It was Carson Red. No distortion, no blur, just there. Impossible. Moments later, the power in his apartment flickered. All the electronics blinked off. The silence was deafening. Then the phone rang. Not his cell. The old landline, the one he never used. He picked it up slowly. A voice, low and calm, echoed on the other side. You look tired, Ray. Carson? They say ghosts can't leave fingerprints, that they can't pick up objects. But you and I both know. I was never just a ghost. What do you want? You took everything from me. I told you I'd come back. I always keep my promises. Ray's mouth was dry. You're dead. No, Carson whispered. I'm remembered. That's enough. The line went dead. Act 5, Unfinished Business. Ray filed the report, knowing it would be buried. A fingerprint match to a dead man. A security photo that evaporated after he tried to scan it. A voice on a phone that no one could trace. But something else gnawed at him. Carson hadn't killed Philip Tressler randomly. Tressler had served on the Police Ethics Review Board 2 decades ago, the one that had cleared Ray of excessive force during Carson's arrest. Carson was finishing a list, a revenge list, one name at a time. Ray's name would be last. He didn't go to work the next day, or the next. He packed a go bag, changed phones, bought burner numbers, hid in motels, switching rooms, watching over his shoulder. But Carson never came. Weeks passed. Then months. Ray tried to believe it was over. Until one morning, he woke to a knock at his motel door. No one was there. But taped to the doorframe was a photo. Another grainy print. Ray sleeping. And in the reflection of the mirror behind him, clear as day, Carson, standing over the bed. Detective Ray Calder thought justice ended with a conviction. That once a man was put to death, the case was closed. But the dead don't always rest in peace, especially when vengeance binds them tighter than any cell ever could. He sought the truth, but sometimes the truth watches back. From the shadows, from the silence, from the other side. What are the whispers? A warning, a message, a glimpse into something beyond our understanding. Perhaps they are all of these, or none at all. But one thing is certain, they are always there, waiting to be heard. Tune in next time and listen closely, because the whispers are always there, and sooner or later, they will reach us all. Until then, keep your ears open and remember, some whispers should never be ignored.